What's up, guys? Good evening. We've got another Huskies game tonight, don't we? Had the week off last week, got to bask in our 6-2 record. I would call it basking because I wasn't really expecting us to be as good as we are this year. I was kind of expecting to be competing for a bowl game. I didn't think we'd have a bowl game locked up by, game number 8, and that's where we are. And tonight, in about an hour and a half. And by the way, I will be live streaming this game. Stream should go up in a little bit here, and then I'll be live when the game starts. We're probably going to go late. It's probably not going to be over till like 11, but we are going to stream it. And basically, I'm thinking this is another chance for Washington to get back in the ranked group. They're 6-2. They've won a couple games in a row now. If they beat Oregon State tonight, and by the way, we're playing the game at home. If we win, then we'll be 7-2. We'll have beaten an Oregon State team that is currently ranked, who has the same record as us. So at that point, I imagine we get back in there. Now, how much does that really mean? Not a whole lot. At the end of the day, it's not like this team has any chance of competing for like a playoff spot, and rankings are just temporary. But if we can be ranked late in the season like this, that is indicative of the fact that you are headed in the right direction. So if we can find a way to beat the Oregon State Beavers tonight at home, where we have played very well for the most part, I think we're going to get back in that top 25. So there's your stakes. And look, we're going to play some games that are tougher to close out the season. We still got to play Oregon. We still got to play even Wazoo. I know Wazoo's not great this year, but they're competitive. They can definitely beat you. They have some positive traits about that team. So you want to notch the wins while they're there for you. And while this Oregon State Beavers team is quite good, in fact, they're probably the best Beavers team we've seen in well over a decade, this is probably a game that you should win. Honestly, almost any game you play at home is probably a game you should win unless you're playing a top 10 team. That's really what I'm going to be leaning on tonight. I think that this Oregon State team, they're good. There's no doubt about it. I'm not saying they're a fraud or anything, but you've been very good at home. So I think that'll get the job done more than anything else tonight, more than any matchup. I just want to take advantage of the fact that we are playing on our own turf. Now, Oregon State, again, they're a good team. I want to stress that. They're not frauds. You look at what they've done so far this year, it's maybe a little bit like Washington. They won 3 games to start the year against low-level opposition. I think like Montana State was in there, maybe Eastern Washington, teams like that, teams that are bad. They lost their next 2 games. They lost the 2 games they played against really good opposition. They lost to Utah, and I believe they lost to USC. So those were their 2 opportunities to prove they were a great team, and they failed both. Now, one of those games was really close. The other was a blowout. They got blown out by Utah by, I think, 4 touchdowns. But regardless, that tells you that this team still has some work. The best team they've beaten so far this year is probably Wazoo. That was a close game, too. So, while Oregon State is good, I don't think they have the skins on the wall for me to say they're going to go into Washington, they're going to go into Seattle and beat us. So, if you look at the way Oregon State's done it so far this year, mostly on the ground, they average close to 200 rushing yards a game. Their quarterback play is actually kind of poor. They have 2 different guys who have played significant snaps for them this year at quarterback, and both of them are not particularly good. One of them has 8 interceptions on 111 attempts, Nolan. So, very lackluster quarterback play, not a prolific passing attack at all for this Oregon State team. Their leading receiver has less than 500 yards. They do have a multifaceted running back attack. They have multiple guys who can run the ball. And like I said, they're up close to 200 yards per game on the ground. So that's obviously the priority tonight, stopping the run. Washington has had some success stopping the run this year. They've also had some issues, but in general, that is the part of this defense I am okay being challenged because they've been better. The pass defense at times has been completely blown off the field, completely destroyed, unable to get off the field on third down, unable to come up with those key stops. You're not really going to see that, I don't think, this week against Oregon State. They can't take advantage the way these other teams can. They are a run-the-ball team, and I have a feeling that we'll be able to take advantage of that, and I feel like we'll be able to play to our advantages on defense in that regard. Hopefully there are going to be some turnovers in there as well. This is an Oregon State team that will give you a couple opportunities at a turnover a game. We just got to cash in on them. So I'm feeling pretty good about our defense against their offense. Honestly, when they've played a good defense so far this year, they haven't blown up. I think they put up like 16 points on Utah. They had relatively low-scoring efforts, I believe, against USC. It's not a offense that has put up massive production against really good defenses. They feasted against those really low-tier teams that I was talking about at the start. As for the Oregon State defense, it's actually been pretty good. They played well against USC. They played well against Wazoo. Now, Wazoo doesn't have a great offense in general, but it's a Division I offense. It's not like you're playing Fresno, Fresno, Chattanooga, or some weird school like that. But it's a pretty good defense. They allow like 22 points a game, but they did get gashed by Utah, one of the better offenses they played this year. So our offense at home, not too worried about it. This offense should be able to do whatever they want to do against most defenses when they're at home. So I'm going to lean heavily on that factor. I'm going to say that Penix has a big game. He's had a week off now, which I think he maybe needed after he got his bell rung at the end of the, I believe, Arizona State game. And I think we'll be able to throw the ball all over him for the most part. I just feel like it's going to be... I don't think we're going to completely destroy them, but I feel like the margin of victory will be decisive. Nobody's going to come out of this game thinking, oh, well, Washington just kind of snuck by Oregon State. No, I'm feeling like this offense is going to go off. And I don't think Oregon State's going to be able to keep up. So I'm going to say something like 42-28, 42-27. Let's go with something like that. So, yeah, if we do indeed hold serve, and I'm going to call it hold serve because we are favored and we are at home, that gives you a 7-2 record, and it gives you probably ranked status going into the last part of your schedule here. And I'm excited. I know that the highest aspirations for this season are not there, but they were never supposed to be there anyway, so who cares? Right now we're talking about piling up as many wins as we can for recruiting purposes and credibility purposes. Talking about Penix having the opportunity to break some school records, single season records. Maybe O'Dunsey gets involved with some school records as well. And hopefully it leaves us all in a great position to be an elite team next year. So yeah, see you guys in an hour and a half. We're going to watch this game together. Hope we win. Hope things go well. Obviously, this is going to be one of the best teams we play for the rest of the year, regardless of what happens the rest of the way. Even if the Beavers are not a great team, they are better than a lot of the opposition you're going to have. So take care of business. You're going to earn some credibility back that you lost when you lost to Arizona State. All right, see you guys later. Bow down to Washington. Should be a fun stream tonight.